Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, we're doing part 10, can't believe I'm saying that, part 10 to this crazy saga that's been going on for 4 months. And where we left off a couple hours ago is when we heard Don, the father of the two crazy girls, women, the twins, his situation and his story, how he met their wacko, evil, Eve-like mother, and where he was, or basically she was saying, hey, I got all this dirt on you, and I'm blackmailing you, and I'm going to hook up with all the guys I want, go back to school, and you're going to live on a cot, and you're going to pay for it, and blah, blah, blah. And he made the wrong choice staying with her, even though he was between a rock and a hard place. And we're going to continue where that left off, and then see where things go with regards to her in the present day, as well as more info from our man Phil about his crazy wife Ellie. So, we continue saying, I told Alice that I wanted a divorce. She told me that was not possible. She decided against divorce. I was on my way career-wise, and she had been there for me during the bad times and wanted to be there when the money was coming in. At what moment was she ever there with you during the bad times? You were working your tail off day and night, every day of the week, taking care of the girls, taking care of money, and she's going out with her friends and jazzercising. Are you kidding me? I asked her why I would stay in a marriage with someone who really didn't care about me at all. Alice told me that she would go to the company owner and the police and tell them I left the door unlocked because I was in on the robbery. And there you go. I let the robbers in and told them what to steal. They may not be able to pin me on the robbery on me, but I'd be fired for leaving the door unlocked and then lying about it. No more great job, back to a life of drudgery. Maybe I can get the job as a cashier in a liquor store back like I used to. You know what? Even if she did that, you've been better off. Really, think about that. You've been better off, and it wouldn't be as bad as you thought. You'd be fired, but you'd find a way instead of being married to her evil ass all those years. But you were young, you were scared, and she'd leave me, and I'd live with the guy, and she'd live with the guy with a good job in a nice place. Her mother would raise the kids, but she would have to go back to sneaking around as she lived with a new guy, a pain in the ass. And she especially wanted to keep seeing the other guy as often as she could. Living with a new guy meant that she had to be careful. It might take some time to figure out how best to safely see other men. He says, FYI, the other guy, not the one with the good job, turned out to be the guy Ellie and Karen called Uncle Fred. Oh, good old Uncle Fred. So Alice continued, I'm keeping my job and we're staying married. No more discussion. She won't have to worry about making excuses or being caught. She'll do what she wants. She'll be married to me, but really be single all over again. I would need to get a cot and sleep in the room with the twins. If I slept in the twins' room, I could see them at night before they wake up and any guys she brought home. But she'd be going back to school in the fall, so I can have my bed back then. What an a-hole. Again, you remember in the last story how Ellie was trying some of the similar crap with Phil, except Phil didn't go for it. But Phil was also a lot older and didn't have any kids. But oh my God, she never got along with us. As SSM said in Phil's last post, I was between a rock and a hard place. Keeping my great job by staying quiet and staying in a hellish marriage, or lose a job I loved because I was an irresponsible liar who might be a thief. That reputation would follow me forever. I would never get another job like the one I had. I would also lose custody of the kids. She'd tell the judge why I was fired. It didn't matter. In 1990, judges gave custody and control over the kids to mothers, period. Yeah, and you know what? But still, you can't live like that with her doing that to you, man. But I get it was tough and all that. And I know some people can say, SSM, you're not a father, you don't get it. There has to be another way. And you don't know that you wouldn't have been able to get another job. It would have taken time, but somehow a way could be found. But it happened. I made the wrong choice. I should have left everything behind. More than 30 years later, I hate every minute I spent with Alice. And that is why you should have done the opposite. But I was always afraid of her blackmail, even these past few years. If she went to my bosses with the story that I participated in the robbery and lied about it, I'd lose my security clearance. Noting nothing companies with sensitive cutting-edge technology worry about more than having that technology stolen. Alice would tell them I was a thief and a liar that could not be trusted. I couldn't take the chance that all my years of hard work would be flushed down the drain. Alice went back to school. She was gone most of the 3 years. The kids and I rarely heard or saw from her. I did not miss Alice. I'm not sure the twins did either. When she was home from school, she rarely stayed home. Alice's mother, a wonderful, unselfish woman, stepped in so it would be possible for me to work. Didn't her mother ever say to her daughter, you get your fucking ass back there and be with your children and your husband? Well, where was that? So maybe she's not as wonderful as you think. I worked at least 70 hours a week, but spent all my time with my kids. My boss appreciated my work and made sure I got promotions. I was starting to make a pretty good money. Alice never used her education to get a job. There's a fucking surprise. She never worked. Uncle Fred became a constant presence in our lives. At my expense. He is, I guess, the real love of Alice's life. But she wasn't going to divorce me to live with him. He couldn't afford her, and she was never faithful to him either. Of course not. When we moved to the house we're in now, the house she and Fred picked out and I paid for, I was relegated to the spare bedroom. Fred often spent the night in a master bedroom with Alice, but there were lots of other men and some women who spent the night with Alice over the years. Dude. Oh yeah, smack. I don't think I smacked you in this entire fucking thing. And the other one. Well, I'll be making up for it now. I guess I'm a little off today, guys. Oh, how? How could you have gone along with that? But guys, people can just be so worn down, think they're worth nothing, terrified. That's why I try everything I can to build guys up so they don't let vultures, parasites like this take advantage of them. Mornings were always challenging when she had a guest night before. As the twins got older, their mother's lovers became a normal part of their lives. My discomfort with this was not something Alice cared much about. This was my life until Ken called offering me a job at his company. This was all discussed in Phil's last post, so I won't rehash it. I left my job on November 15th and will start at Ken's firm on January 2nd. Awesome, brother. Good for you. It's never too late. I accrued 6 weeks of vacation with time, which I'm off right now, and I'll start with Ken. Neither Karen nor Ellie, and certainly not Alice, know that I'm moving to Ken's company after the first of the year. None of them know that I've become part of Ken's and Phil's support group. I'm really looking forward to starting my new job and starting my new life. Awesome. You have fucked up in more ways I can even count, my friend. However, you're getting a second chance. You can do this. You can all work together. Leave that trash heap of a freaking wife and, no offense, your daughters behind. I know you blame yourself for your daughters, and in so many ways, yeah, they observe weakness and all this shit, and their mother is the fucking devil here. However, they are grown-ass adults that made their choices. End of story. And you, my man, have a second chance, and you can thrive. Okay, you're 54 pretty soon. Guess what? You can live to be 100 years old and spend the next 44, what the fuck, you're 54, 46 years of your lives to be 100 years old, kicking ass and taking A's, making it for lost time. That's what I want for you. You can do it. I've been spending more time with Karen since Ken threw her out. She says she's sorry for the way my mother, her, and her sister treated me all those years. She seems to want a real human relationship with me. A real human relationship? Like a robot relationship? We see each other and talk at least once a week. We plan to spend Thanksgiving together with Ellie, just the three of us. My guess is that Ellie won't show up. She's already indicated that she's planning to have Thanksgiving with an older, very wealthy man who just lost his son and needs comforting. She laughed when she said he lost his son. Who laughs at someone losing a child? Well, sir, please do not make the same mistake again where your daughters take advantage of you the same way that your ex, Alice, has done that, because your daughters have proven. Ellie's obviously the more evil one. Ellie's completely like her mother. Karen's not far off. Ellie's the dominant one of the twins. Do not let them do the same thing to you and playing the daddy. That crap. I was almost content with just getting rid of Alice and moving on. I wanted my life back. I liked some revenge, but didn't see how it was possible. I came with a plan based on some of SSM's videos. Ken and Phil recommended. Alice and Fred planned to go to a resort for 2 weeks, beginning the weekend before Thanksgiving, and staying until the Friday after the week of Thanksgiving. All expenses paid by me. The resort is in Palm Springs. They would board a plane early Friday morning, the 17th. They'd be flying to LAX and then to Palm Springs. They'd be in the air most of the day. By early November, I knew I would be throwing Alice out. There were things I had to prepare. I saw the lawyer that Ken and Phil are using. The trick is to keep as much of my assets out of Alice's hands as I can with little or no alimony. Maybe we could do this thing by showing Alice and I never really had a real marriage. Tricky, because this is a no-fault state. Jesus, of course it is. We'll see what the lawyer can do. I prepared for my revenge. I got a credit card in my name only. It finally arrived 2 days before Alice left for Palm Springs. The credit cards Alice uses are both in our names. The checking and brokerage accounts are in both of our names. Smack! You never put them in all these things in your wife's name, but she probably blackmailed you for that too. I opened a checking account and brokerage account in only my name. I installed a Ring doorbell and can watch my front door on my phone or laptop. I get a notification if something is at my front door. My revenge plan was simple. Cut Alice off from my money and keep her out of the house. My lawyer probably would have told me not to do this, but sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than ask permission. The judge may not see it that way, my friend. I would take your lawyer's advice. Alice and Fred flew out early Friday morning. As soon as I knew their plane took off, I canceled the credit cards at the Alice carrier. I transferred the money and stocks from our joint accounts to my personal accounts. I changed the door locks, and then left for my own vacation, planning to return in time for Thanksgiving dinner with Karen. I'd asked Karen if she wanted to come on vacation with me. She said she was in the doghouse with Ken again. Yeah, as she should be. He wasn't talking to her or letting her see the kids. She wouldn't tell me what she'd done this time, and she says it didn't matter, but was hoping Ken would calm down so they could talk. Fat chance, honey. She wanted to stay close to home. I knew from Ken what happened. He found her boss in Karen's bed and the kids sleeping on the floor. Again, my friend, Karen and Ellie are grown-ass adults. Do not blame yourself for everything they do. They're making their own choices. She's a fucking asshole, as well as Ellie, and they deserve what's coming. And I can imagine how tough it is to hear that about your kids, but it has to be said. Many times you don't keep blaming yourself and then making bad choices with them because you feel bad, you know? Back to Alice and Fred in Palm Springs. I left for my vacation Friday afternoon. I started to get calls from Alice later that evening when I was eating dinner at my vacation resort. I guess she got to the Palm Springs resort and found she had money problems. I didn't answer but listened to the messages she left. They were all threats to call my boss. I'll be fired. Same threats and blackmail she's been using for 30 years. Then do it, bitch. She also said I'll be in trouble for canceling her cards and leaving her stranded. The resort would not give them a room. I better call the resort with a credit card right now or she'll destroy me. Karen told me later that when they ran the card Alice used to reserve the room, it was declined. All her cards were declined. Fred said his credit cards were maxed out so they couldn't use his. Of course, Fred has no money and has maxed out credit cards. She gave him a check. When they tried to verify the check, they found the account was closed. She would not be able to use her debit card attached to that account either. Nice work, my man. But I'd still listen to your lawyer. Alice just thought I was acting out because I was angry she was spending so much money with Fred. It never occurred to her that I was divorcing her. Her threatening calls were to get me back in line. But I had more than half a dozen messages on my phone from Alice threatening me with a blackmail that had worked for 30 years. Hopefully my lawyer can use his voice message against her in the divorce. I got a call from Ellie the next morning. Oh boy, your wonderful daughter Ellie, who's just like her mother. She told me that legally I couldn't do this to her mom. I needed to get Alice's money immediately. I stopped her and said this was between her mother and me. Good for you. Doesn't it feel good to have some balls? Doesn't it feel good to stand up for yourself? Better late than never. If Ellie wanted to have any sort of relationship with me ever again or even talk to me again, she needed to butt out. I don't think I've ever used that tone with Ellie before. She paused, digesting what I said and how angry I was at her. She apologized and said I was right. Well, how about that? Now, you can't trust anything Ellie does because she's probably just figuring out, okay, I can mind F him or manipulate him some other way, but for the brief moment, you shut her up. That's a start. She'll tell her mother that she has to solve her own problems. She was not going to take sides. Ellie referred her to a lawyer, but that's all. Ellie told me she loved me, and we hung up. That's the first time Ellie has told me she loved me since she was a little girl, and I never heard Ellie apologize before for anything. Isn't it amazing what happens when a man stands up for himself? Good for you. Keep it up. Alice and Fred had to cancel their vacation and return on Saturday. Aw, poor them. Karen told me later they took to the hotel shuttle back to the airport Friday night and tried to spend the night at the airport, but they were tossed out. They spent the night at a Roach motel. They traded in their return tickets for the Saturday return. They must have found some money to trade in their tickets and pay for the cheap motel. Alice may have had some cash on her, or maybe when he understood he'd be spending the night outside in the cold, Fred realized he did have some money left on his maxed out credit cards then, or maybe Ellie helped them out. I got an alert from the Ring doorbell when Alice arrived at our home and Karen until about midnight Saturday night. No Fred. I guess Karen got her at the airport. I watched as she tried to use her key. I had changed the locks. Karen knew I was away, but didn't know that I changed the locks. Alice then tried yelling, banging on the door, and ringing the doorbell. Until Karen told her I wasn't home, Alice seemed very upset. I'm picturing this midnight, banging on the door. It's cold now. It's not cold here in Florida. Can't rub that. Have to rub it in. But other places in the country, I'm assuming it's cold. So she's out there in the cold, probably in the 20s or 30s, pissed off, making a lot of the noise. The neighbor's like, oh, it's fucking Alice again, making noise. I called the local police and told them that I was away, but I got an alert that my wife was trying to break into my home. I told my wife and I were divorcing. She's not allowed in the house. The police arrived and encountered Alice. She showed them her ID and proved that she lived there. They told her she was disturbing the neighbors and she had to quiet down or leave. They were told that she and her husband were divorcing and she wasn't allowed in the house. The call that she was trying to break into came from her husband. No, she could not break into the house. No, there was nothing they could do. And she had to wait for her husband to return to work it out with him. They waited until Alice left with Karen. This is hilarious. Is this all being recorded? I got a call from Karen after Alice got in the car. It was well past 1 o'clock in the morning, so I didn't answer Karen's call. I called her back in the early next morning. Karen told me that her mother's credit cards weren't working and she couldn't get in the house. Not my problem. I told her to tell her mother that we were divorcing. She would no longer have access to my money to my house or my money. Alice demanded the phone. As soon as she got the phone, she started threatening me. Same old threats. I already had the voice messages with her threats, and I hung up on her. Dude, you're on a roll. You're turning into a hard ass. It's about time. Alice got a lawyer. I got the lawyer's information from Karen, and my attorney contacted Alice's lawyer. Alice had all sorts of demands, including me leaving the house so she could live there. I needed to put $100,000 in a personal account for her immediately. Oh, is that all? She wants to get credit cards in her name only, but I had to sign it guaranteeing the payments. Get the fuck out of here. My lawyer told her lawyer none of that is going to happen until a judge orders it. If she gets credit cards in her name, she'll have to come up with the money to pay for them. If she somehow gets credit cards in both her and my names, I'll cancel the cards. Her husband's wallet is closed to her for good. The divorce fund is just beginning. My attorney told me that we will be in court next week and I should expect a spanking from the judge. The judge won't like that I cut her off with no money and locked her out of the house. But the judge also isn't going to like the blackmail threats Alice made in her voicemails to me. My attorney said the messages left on my phone were better for us than gold, hoping for the best. I'm hoping for the best too. That's my story. I did everything wrong. My life has been hell, but with the help of my son-in-laws and SSM, I'm climbing my way back to life. My advice: if it's too good to be true, take a long, close look at it. It may be too good to be true. If it's too good to be true, nothing good follows. This brings us up to date, and I mentioned earlier that Phil wanted to include his update in his father's romance with Ellie. The rest is this is what Phil wrote. Well, sir, I know we're concluding your part, but holy shit, I wish you luck. And you know what? At the end of the day, you're going to be all right. You may get hit hard in the divorce and with the money in the house, but you know what? You'll be free. And you're starting over at Ken's company or Phil's company. I forget whose company is. Somebody's company. And you're going to be all right. Take it one day at a time. And that strength you've shown, standing up for yourself to your a-hole daughter Ellie and your piece of crap soon-to-be ex-wife, let's continue this. It's never too late to make a change. You know, and yeah, you made a fuckload of mistakes when you were younger, but you were also a young, scared kid. You didn't know, and you were... Yeah, there's so many lessons there. And I should have smacked you a lot, but it's Monday. I guess my hand is tired from smacking people today. Did a lot of other videos earlier today in case you guys saw them, where there was a lot of smacks going on. But anyhow, wish you all the best, sir. You're doing really good. Now we're on to Phil's update in his situation, what's been going on with good old Ellie. So Phil says, my father and I were on our way to a restaurant for our Thanksgiving dinner when his phone rang. He said it was Ellie. Ellie calling. What the fuck? It was an unwelcome surprise to me that my father and Ellie were still talking. What was she telling him now? You all recall in the last story that Ellie was putting the moves on the dad and dad was just playing along to eventually trap her. Ellie called my dad to tell him that I'm not his son, but also suggested that she and my father get together to comfort each other. My father said he'd call her. He didn't call Ellie back to invite her to dinner. He figured she'd take the hint and go away. But he doesn't know Ellie. He is too big a prize for her just to give up on. When she didn't hear from him, Ellie called my dad and asked him if he still wanted to get together. My father told her that he'd been incredibly busy since he fired me, so he hadn't had a chance to call her. He didn't fire him, guys. That's just what he told him. The business was a disaster because of my incompetence. He was trying to straighten things out. In the middle of all he had to do, he agreed to meet with a possible new major vendor in Santa Fe the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. As business was closed all Thanksgiving weekend, and he should really use that time to work on the mess I left him. But he also needed a break. Did Ellie want to get together in Santa Fe for the long Thanksgiving weekend? Did she know of any place in Santa Fe where they can meet and have some fun together? A resort, maybe. Isn't Santa Fe where all this shit started, in the bedroom where you left her ass there butt naked? I believe so. This story is so long, it's hard to remember this, but I think it was. Ellie said she stayed at a resort just outside Santa Fe last summer. Aha. It was a great place with a casino, nice restaurants, a spa. They could meet there Thanksgiving Day and stay the weekend. My father asked if she was willing to make the reservations. Of course, he'd pay her back for everything, including her plane tickets. But if she could just take care of her tickets and make reservations for now, that would be great. He just didn't have the time to do any of that, did she? Ellie said she would get her plane tickets and book the resort reservation immediately and got off. She called Dad back. They were lucky. The resort still had one large suite left for Thanksgiving weekend. She booked it for them. It was very expensive, over $1,800 a night, but it was a huge suite. Was that okay? My father said seeing Ellie was worth any expense. What an idiot. She is hell-bent on revenge. She's going to pay anything for it. Ellie continued that maybe she was being too presumptuous, just getting one room for the both of them. But they only had the one suite left. They'll be staying in the room together. She hopes that's what my father wants. She giggled like a schoolgirl, and that is certainly what she wants. My father told her exactly what he wants to do. She said that she'll be at the airport in Santa Fe mid-afternoon Thanksgiving Day. Would he pick her up? He said he could not wait to see her again. Call him when she lands. This dumb broad's going along with this. I didn't know anything about the plans my father made with Ellie, but Dad knew he and I would be together when Ellie arrived in Santa Fe and called him. He and I were on our way to Thanksgiving dinner when Ellie called. My father said I was really going to enjoy this. My father was trying not to laugh. He answered and put Ellie, and we could hear Ellie through the car speaker. Ellie was excited and said she just arrived and she'd be out front in the airport waiting for my father to get her. I'm like, okay, you wait for the blue car. Dad asked what was she talking about. She said she just arrived in Santa Fe for the long weekend together. He said he'd pick her up at the airport. My father asked her why he would want to spend a weekend with a vile slut like her. She must be delusional to think that he'd have anything to do with a piece of shit who betrayed and then tried to blackmail his son. Ellie let that sink in and she started yelling. He had promised to pay her airfare and for the room. He'd better pay her back for everything or she'll sue him. God, is that her thing? Answer to everything? I'll sue you. I'll sue you. There's like an Ellie doll somewhere, and I'm still picturing Kristen Bell from Sarah Marshall, that movie, whatever, forgetting Sarah Marshall, like I said in the last video. You pull a string, and she says, I'll sue you. I started laughing as soon as Ellie said that she was going to sue my dad. Ellie heard the laughing and asked who was listening to their conversation. Like she doesn't know your laugh. Who was laughing? He told her it was me, his son, laughing at her because she's a joke. Ellie went back to yelling. I was not his son. She had proven that. My father calmly told her that I was his son. My father's blood type was AB, not O. I was still doing my always excellent job running our company. I had a brilliant future. I'd be wealthy and successful. What did Ellie's future look like? Her future is a scandal. Defense lawyers, a trial, and maybe disbarment and jail. She's on the wrong side of 30 and getting divorced. I was entering the best years of my life. Her best years were behind her. She had a husband who adored her and just wanted to make her happy, but she threw him away because she could not keep her pants on. Karma's a bitch stalking Ellie. Awesome. Your dad rocks. Dad told us she had no lawsuit. She could not prove he promised her anything. My father told her not to call him again and to stay out of his life. Ellie started sputtering curses at him, but my father hung up and blocked her. My father and I had a pleasant Thanksgiving dinner. Dad gave me the details about how he got Ellie to Santa Fe by promising a romantic weekend. She'd have to pay her airfare and for the resort. She could turn around and go home, but good luck trying to get her money back for the room. I said I was sure that she'd find someone somewhere in Santa Fe to hook up with, but she'll never forget that she's been played. Ellie was back where I caught her with her long-term boyfriend last summer. It seemed fitting that she traveled more than 6 hours to Santa Fe to be made fool of again, just like I had last summer. Dad and I were laughing so hard when he was telling me about his and Ellie's romance. We were getting stares from the other diners. That is hilarious. I don't think my father went too far. I know Don thinks he did, but he loves his daughter. If anyone else thinks Ellie didn't deserve what she got, go back and listen to the past SSM posts about all Ellie's betrayals. I'm with your dad and you. She got what she deserved. She's got the money. She can pay for it. I know Don's watching this, the first part of the story with Don, but Don, your daughters are grown-ass adults, and they deserve what's coming. She's been terrible. Ellie is your soon-to-be ex-wife, Alice. So if anybody's keeping score, here's where we are at the end of November 2023. Ken is not talking to Karen and won't allow her to see these kids. Well, good, she shouldn't, given what she's been doing. The divorce is still in the works. He has a great separation and custody agreement that he's hoping will be at the basis of a great divorce and final custody settlement. Catching over their boss while she has had the kids will help out him get full custody. I am hoping for Ken, my man. Dawn is divorcing Alice. She's living with Karen in her one-bedroom apartment. Oh, I'm sure that's fun. Until they have a fight. Then she moves to Ellie's apartment until they have a fight. Alice has no money and no access to Dawn's money. That will probably change when they get before a judge, but Dawn is enjoying her difficulties right now. Hey, she deserves it. After all these years, she deserves it. Yeah, she's going to get money. But you know what? I'm willing to bet you that when Alice gets what she gets from him, she'll piss it away real quick. At their Thanksgiving dinner, Karen told Don that Alice called his old boss only to find out that he no longer works there. Alice will eventually find out where Don works now through her attorney. She may call his new boss to tell about stupid things Don did 33 years ago. Maybe make up some stuff about him. But Don's new boss is her son-in-law, Ken. The same Ken who called her a human toilet and told her he and his children would have no more contact with her. My guess is that calling Ken to disparage Don won't go too well for her. If Ken talks to her at all, the husbands are sticking together. This is perfect. This needs to be a movie, a miniseries, something. Netflix could pick up a lot of these stories I do and do wonders. Ellie's plot to destroy my life didn't work. She traveled to Santa Fe just to be humiliated. I'm divorcing her and have a good divorce settlement in place. You never know what Ellie will pull next, but unlike Ken and Don's divorces, mine should be relatively easy. It ain't over till it's over, my man. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Ken and I still have the plane ticket, which we both now want to use against our wives after our divorces. Those plane tickets, which they did in the first story, and we get them in jail time or prison time. Again, that's your insurance policy. I'd keep holding on to that before you cash that in. We should not forget about Uncle Fred. Karen told Don that Alice called Fred and told him that she needed to stay with him until she could get back in her house. Fred asked if she had any money to repay him for what he spent on her in Palm Springs. Alice says she didn't, but when her attorney gets them before a judge, she'll get all the money she wants. Fred told Alice to call him when she has his money. And no, she can't stay with him. Uncle Fred is no longer answering or returning Alice's calls. Aw, poor Alice. Uncle Fred is just a Chad and Tyrone scumbag that was milking her, well, let's be honest, milking Don for everything it was worth. He is out of her life unless she gets back on the money train. Alice is 54 years old. She's not getting back on the money train. Her marriage and Don paying for her fun is at an end. Husbands, 3. Cheating wives, 0. And that is the end of part 10, and I'm sure we're going to be on part 20 one day in this story. I want to see this get up to fucking 100. So keep writing the stories, Phil, Don, Ken, and all you people. We're getting to 100. It may take 2 years, but we're part 10. We're getting to 100. Anyhow, guys, for you guys who have been following this saga, quite the story here. So, guys, great updates. I'm enjoying them. Keep them coming, and I wish you guys all the best. Take it one day at a time. You're going to be okay. And it's great that you guys are meeting up for your Thursday dinners to all compare notes, keep yourself strong, and not taking back these people. And the only concern I really have in this whole group now is Don, the father of the girls. I don't want the girls to pull the same crap and the tears and the drama and take advantage of you the same way their mother has. And that could be very, very likely. So just be careful, Don, for that. And again, Don, you're making a comeback. You're never too. You're going to be 54 pretty soon, I'm sure, any day now, because it's December. And good luck with the new company in the new year. Keep doing what you love. And however you get hit in the divorce, and you're going to get hit, you can rebuild. You're going to be so happy you're free. You can be living in a cardboard box next to the river. You'll feel better than you had in 30 years. And you can start over. But learn from all the mistakes you made. And just recently been standing up to your ex and standing up to Ellie. Keep it up and you'll be amazed at the results that can happen. A man can change. You can teach an old dog new tricks. You're really going to have to really work hard with that dog. So good for you, sir, and I wish you the best. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let these guys all know what you think. And also, guys, you got a great story to share. Definitely email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I will when I get the chance. And if it takes a while, just keep waiting. I will get to it eventually if it's a good one. And be sure to like the video, share it to your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.